the latest model 747. The Dash 8. Hurtling down the runway for a takeoff. Suddenly, the pilot has to slam on the brakes. Screeching to a halt, they glow red hot. Firefighters scramble, but do nothing. This isn't a disaster in the making, but one of the many tests the latest model 747 will face. If she bursts into flames, she fails. For almost 40 years, the Jumbo was the undisputed queen of the skies. Recently, she's lost that crown to the bigger Airbus A380. And the team at Boeing want it back. They're going to completely redesign this iconic plane in the world's largest building, the Boeing Megafactory. After 5 tense minutes, fire crews cool the brakes in the 747's wings. It's proof she can abort a takeoff safely and let passengers escape. Boeing hopes this will be her only aborted takeoff. The 747-8 is the latest and most technologically advanced version of the company's flagship. She'll be the world's longest airliner, and more importantly, the greenest in her class. Like every Jumbo that graces the skies, she'll be born at Everett, Washington, just north of Seattle. Boeing's Megafactory is the largest building on the planet. Its doors hold the Guinness World Record for the largest mural. How big? You could fit all of Disneyland inside it and still have room for parking. This is more than just a factory. It's a small city with its own fire department and 7 of America's busiest coffee shops right there on the factory floor.
Our 7, please.
There's an armada of industrial-strength trikes and bikes to help the employees get around. But it takes most people months to learn the factory layout.
The size was definitely overwhelming.
It was a little hectic. Didn't really know exactly what I was doing or really where I was going.
23 and a half years. And I still get lost in this factory sometimes too.
This cavernous building is so large, clouds have been known to form near the 11-story high ceiling. It's a bewildering jumble of aircraft parts in all shapes and sizes. But there is method beneath the madness. Each jet the company makes here has its own assigned space. This area is reserved for the company's darling, the 747. The first plane ever built here was a 747, the original jumbo jet. She quickly establishes herself as the undisputed queen of the skies. Her dominance goes unchallenged for 40 years. Until in 2007, the Airbus A380 eclipses her in size and capacity. It's a double-decker, seating 550 passengers. The A380 is Airbus's response to the upsurge in air travel over the past decade.
There's really an upturn in the aerospace industry. We're seeing people fly more often, airplanes are full, there's really a lot of demand for new airplanes.
But not just any planes. Airlines are demanding more efficient planes. The A380 fits the bill. But in this environment, the old jumbo doesn't cut it anymore. With soaring fuel costs and concern for the environment, she's become expensive and dirty to fly. But Boeing isn't throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Instead of designing a new plane from the ground up, which could take a decade and billions of dollars, they're going to give a radical makeover to their old favourite, a better and greener jumbo. The Dash 8 will fly faster, travel a third of the way around the world without refueling, and burn a lot cleaner than any 747 before it.
We really think the 747-8 is the right size airplane for the market. Airbus offers, of course, a bigger airplane than the A380. The 747-8 will burn less fuel per seat than the A380. So important decisions for an airline when they're deciding on what type of big airplane they need.
But the A380 is already flying, so Boeing has some catching up to do. Good thing that in the hangar next door, they've got some innovative technology ready to go. This is where they're making the revolutionary carbon fiber Dreamliner, the 787. She'll lend the 747 her innovative wing design and brand new fuel-efficient engines. The new jumbo is even named after her little sister. She'll be the 747-8. She's borrowing from the future, but also from her own 40-year heritage. The 747 story starts in the mid-1960s. The invention of jet aircraft has created an upsurge in air travel. Demand for intercontinental flights is taking off. And one carrier leads the way, Pan Am. By 1965, Pan Am is desperate for bigger and longer-range jets. Its president, Juan Trippe, meets with Boeing's president, William Allen. He asks him to build an aircraft with a range of 5,000 kilometers that'll seat 350 people, twice as many people as any plane before. It's an unprecedented task for Chief Engineer Joe Sutter, known as the father of the 747.
When we had to develop an airplane for 350 passengers instead of 100, how do you do it? And the first thought was to put one airplane on top of another.
40 years before the A380, Joe considers a double-decker.
When my engineers got to work on it and we looked at the troubles with a double-decker, you could list a dozen of them, and that's where they conceived the idea of a wide airplane with two aisles.
Legend has it, Pan Am's Juan Trippe tells Boeing, if you build it, I'll buy it. He signs up for 25 jumbos, worth a total of $3.7 billion in today's money. Boeing accepts the challenge. Small problem. They don't have a factory large enough to make a 747. So in 1966, Boeing begins construction of the biggest mega factory the world has ever seen. Workers start building the original 747 even as the walls of the factory go up around them. They become known as the Incredibles.
The emblem of that was this forester, Paul Bunyan, who walked around with an axe chopping trees down. Frankly, my engineers didn't go for that hoopla. They had a job to do, they knew what the job was doing, and they just did it.
But incredible they are. They built the first ever 747 from scratch in just 28 months. She rolls out of Boeing's mega factory on September the 30th, 1968. A champagne moment that didn't go quite as planned.
Now the cadence, and don't break it yet, the cadence is going to be 1, 2, 3. Got it? Okay, wait. All right. We'll do it again. 1, 2, 3.
We did have a few problems, but the moment of lifting off was a great moment of relief, I think, for all of us. People have asked me if we were concerned, about our personal safety, but no, we weren't. That didn't enter into it. We were busy. We had a job to do. There was a lot to think about, and we were very excited. When we got out, we were mobbed by everybody, and it was a great moment, and it was a great airplane.
But the 747 is only meant to be a stopgap. In the mid-60s, the world wants supersonic flight, planes that can travel faster than the speed of sound. Boeing reckons it will only ever sell 50 passenger 747s. It believes the real future for the jet set is its supersonic swing wing, which will go head-to-head with the European Concorde. But the supersonic dream proves an economic dead end. It's a gas guzzler. Boeing never gets beyond this full-scale mock-up. Instead, it's the 747 with more fuel-efficient engines that goes from stopgap to ruler of the skies. Since 1968, Boeing's built over 1,400 jumbos. Together, they've flown the equivalent of 101,000 trips to the moon and back. And they've all been handcrafted here at the Boeing Mega Factory. In 43 years, that hasn't changed. Making a jumbo is still hands-on work. There is not a robot in sight.
Okay, I got a little tension. All right, we're in the hole.
In our assembly line process, it's really important to get the cadence going, or sometimes we call it the drum beat. It's all about cycling, and that is having our mechanics be able to work on a job and then cycle back to the next airplane and keep the rhythm going.
But nothing is actually made here. Everett is simply a massive assembly hub. Parts from all corners of the globe converge on Everett. Aircraft seats from Germany, wing elements from China, flaps from Australia. The new 747-8 alone needs more than 6 million parts. And critically, they all need to be here, just in time. Just-in-time manufacturing is a proven method that saves Boeing money by not having to purchase and store parts too far in advance. But it's risky. Timing is everything.
Yes, we do have part shortages. The key to our success in being able to keep manufacturing building is to make sure that parts that will actually stop the production system never become short.
One of the biggest components you don't want hanging around is a $20 million engine.
The engines are an expensive commodity, and so we're managing our money from a standpoint of WIP and inventory costs. So engines are usually put on in all of our models about a day or two before they roll out of the factory, and they come to us just in time.
It's hard to misplace a 747 engine, but Boeing needs to keep track of over 6 million parts. Not all as obvious as a 7-ton engine.
Yes, sir. How we doing today? Good. I'm going to need a dipstick and probably a gun barrel drill over there.
Every part is electronically tagged, giving Boeing an instant assessment of what's gone where.
There you go. Excellent. Excellent. That'll do it. There you go. Thank you.
Making a 747-8 starts with the most important part of all, the wing. The wing assembly area takes up a quarter of the jumbo's factory space. The new wings of the 747 are the largest Boeing has ever built. Each one is big enough to fit 4 3-bedroomed houses on top. The wing design is crucial to making the new 747 more efficient and therefore greener.
The 747 for the first 4 years had a 1960s technology airfoil, and the latest modern design airfoils that have been used on the 787 have a different shape of airfoil, which improves the lift to drag ratio, which improves the fuel burn on the airplane.
The assembly starts with the wing on its edge to allow easy access. The wing skeleton is made of 3 spars which run along the length, joined by 55 ribs. This shape provides great structural integrity, which will be needed. The wings support the full weight of the plane in flight, the stresses of turbulence, plus each wing